the guys that run OpenAI, they said, wow, we should really try to put a front end on this so that people can interact with this robot which we've created. And that's what ChatGPT is. The moment the penny dropped was when I saw an influencer say, I can create 30 social media posts in under 5 minutes.
Hi, I'm Wyatt.
And I'm Grace.
And you're listening to our dad and your host of the Vacation Rental Revolution podcast.
All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Odyssey Vacation Rental Revolution podcast. I'm your host, Shawn Moore, and I am super excited, and I hope that you guys are, for our guest today. I've got Bart Sobies from ibooked.online. Bart, welcome to the Vacation Rental Revolution podcast.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me on. It's an absolute pleasure. Just so that you know, I'm over in Australia on the other side of the world, so I'm upside down. It's early in the morning for me, whilst it's evening for you folks out there.
Yeah, we're excited all the way from down under Australia. We were just talking. We're getting wrapped up with winter. We're heading into spring. The days are getting longer. The days are getting warmer, and you're doing the exact opposite of us. And so we appreciate you joining us. The reason I am so excited about this conversation, you guys, I've got my notebook out, and I'm going to be taking notes, I hope, as much as you guys are, because we're going to talk to Bart about really one of the really hot topics around the world right now is implementing AI and how is AI affecting our lives. And we're going to specifically talk to Bart as really one of the leading experts in AI and applying it to our short-term rental businesses. And so, Bart, I'm really, really excited. I know that we're going to talk about a lot of the maybe benefits, some ways that we can use them. And so, but before we dive into how we can implement and use AI in our short-term rental businesses, building our portfolios and really maximizing our assets, I'd love to get a little bit of a backstory about how you got into this game and really became, what you're doing at iBooked Online, and then roll into how you became kind of the expert in the AI game with this.
Yeah, and it's all happened so quickly. I don't think there were any experts in AI in the past. And I thank you very much for calling me an expert in AI, but it's more that I would find that the skill set that I bring is understanding the challenges that a short-term rental host will have and how to use technology to fix those challenges. And right now it happens to be that AI is an amazing tool, just like a property management system was an amazing tool. And it is a great tool to use for your business, but AI is one of those ones that people can't quite wrap their heads around. How do I use it practically on an everyday level? And how is it going to make things so much easier for me? I keep on doing things with ChatGPT, it gets it wrong, and then I'm behind a few steps. But in terms of who I am and my background, so I run iBooked Online. We're direct booking experts. So if you're looking to get direct bookings through your own website, your own platform, your own brand, your own marketing strategy, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, if you're trying to get people to book direct, that's what we do. So we've got our own book direct solution, and then we plug it into your PMS, and then people will book direct. So we've been doing that for 3.5 years. And then sort of roughly, so it was 3.5 years, so at the start of the pandemic. And then after around about 6 months of us starting our business, the pandemic started. And then we thought, hold on a second, we can't sell websites because no one's booking. But what we can do is we can help hosts. We can help educate the market. We can take all of the nerdiness of me sitting there all day long, looking at funnels, looking at technology and CRM solutions, and then teach people about it. Just teach them how to get themselves set up, how to use technology in a more effective way, how to do marketing. Like, how do you market like 20 properties that are all over the place that don't make sense? How do you put that all together? So we've got education as well. So right now our focus is in terms of education about making more money, so more revenue from your properties. And the other one is how to use AI in our businesses. So that's why I'm here.
Nice. So I love it. And we know our Odyssey, mentorship coaching program as well, as we're huge into the direct booking, like saying, hey, let's build our business in our own sandbox instead of in somebody else's sandbox on the OTAs, right? And so a huge proponent of that as well. And so 3 years into that, and really focusing on that and helping people really dive in and understand that game. AI really has probably been around a lot longer than we really give it credit for, but it really exploded on the scenes, maybe 6 months ago, right? Everybody started talking about ChatGPT and using it. And I've played around with it, frankly, but that's all I've really done. And it's almost a little bit of a rabbit hole for me, because I start putting in questions and seeing what it spits out and doing all this stuff, but I've never really applied it to our actual business. And so I'm really excited to hear some of the ways that we can actually apply that and being able to use it for. And I'd love it. I mean, I'm sure that you're really looking at it for the application of trying to market and direct book properties, right? And how we can actually raise and maximize our assets, and whether that's the guest experience, who our target audience is. I'm guessing we go into all those different things.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So there's so many things I want to kind of cover in what you said. So just AI in general, AI, it's not the fact that it's actually intelligent. That's one thing that I just want to clear up. The language around it is a little bit poor. So there's nothing intelligent about it. It's just a computer program, right? We've told it, we've given it instructions, and it spits out whatever we tell it to do. It's not like a human being. It doesn't work in that way. And that convergence to it being sentient, there's debate around that. Probably not going to happen. But you're right. This technology is not new. If you've ever used a spelling checker, that's using artificial intelligence, right? In your Word documents. If you've Googled before, then that's all using artificial intelligence to give you predicted answers and that sort of stuff. Same sort of concept. The difference of what's happened is OpenAI has been around for ages building this technology. And there were companies who were plugging into it and putting a front end. So saying, okay, so we can use this technology to build these cool tools, and we're going to start to do photos, and we're going to start to do more conversational stuff and tools, all these different tools based on this model. And then what happened is that the guys that run OpenAI, they said, wow, we should really try to put a front end on this so that people can interact with this robot which we've created. And that's what ChatGPT is. It's all it is just a new front end, a new way to interact with this program that they've developed. And now it's got to the stage where, and this is my journey, and this is why I started to talk about AI and how important it is, because I read articles about it for about a month and a half in the media going, oh, ChatGPT. I was like, okay, I've got to get onto it. I need to find some time. And if anyone's sitting there going, oh, I've heard about it, I haven't spent the time on it, I'll find some time to sit down and start to ask it questions. And I was asking it questions, it would answer the questions just like you have, Shawn. You sit there and go, okay, that's nice. That's nice that it's answered those questions. The moment the penny dropped was when I saw an influencer say, I can create 30 social media posts in under 5 minutes and have them all uploaded into Canva and have them all as individual posts done within 5 minutes. I'm like, geez, that's impossible. So first step, Shawn, you get your topic, right? So whatever you specialize in your short-term rental business, your avatar or whatever the theme is going to be. So let's say it's going to be summer holidays. Why takes summer holidays in this particular area that I am, called Branson, Missouri, or wherever? Do 30 posts, right? Write 30 posts, 30 ideas. And you say, okay, now put those into a post and then give me some hashtags, which I'm going to put together in this post. And then what you do is you say, put it into a table for me. And then the thing just goes through, puts it in a table. So now I can take that data, put it into Excel, save it, then go into Canva, import that back up, and then create the 30 posts all in once. And that's done within minutes. That's something that you would pay a marketing company thousands of dollars to do for you. And it's not because it's complicated. It's because it just takes time and some creativity. Yep. And that's when I went, hold on a second. I need to learn more about this. And I need to teach other people how to use this tool, because that's just one of the things. But that's where I saw the real power of it, that you can think quite laterally and implement it in all sorts of facets of your business.
That's awesome. And that's exactly it. When I've heard that story, even for me, just thinking of that, it's not that it's so complicated to do any of that stuff. That stuff takes time. And we know in any sort of marketing that content is king. And that is true with our property postings and our property marketing and advertising, right? We have to be able to create content, that things of value, give people reasons why they should come, how to create that unique experience, all those different things. And the thing that when I was playing around with it, like I was writing a newsletter at the time and for one of our properties, and I was researching the things to do in the area. And there was a railroad, the Blue Ridge Railroad, right? And I would go on and I find the articles online about the Blue Ridge Railroad. And then I just went into ChatGPT and said, hey, I'm writing a newsletter. I need a newsletter article on why and what's great about the Blue Ridge Railroad. And it spit out this pretty long article. I was like, okay, I need that actually only in a paragraph, like 3 or 4 sentences, because I needed it in a small section. And I mean, and so what it helps you do, but then what it does is, in my opinion, it did about 90% of what I wanted. And then I put my finishing touches on it, which is what, I mean, instead of me having to do all that, I mean, I was able to do that in literally probably less than 2 minutes. And that's it's the time saver that's huge. But there's this, I'm curious if you feel like that's the same when you do these things with the AI. Do you feel like you're putting the finishing touches on it, like that last 10% that ends up, still saving you a ton of time, but you put your own finishing touches rather than just a copy and paste?
100% of the time I have been going through and working with the machine or the tool to get a final answer. I've got a cool story to go with this. So you can also get ChatGPT to help you with your equations and with your spreadsheets. So let's say you're doing an owner's report and you've got a bunch of numbers all over the place and you need to summarize it for an owner, and you want it to spit out that result onto another page, right? So then you might need some sort of a formula, and we're working on a formula to basically take some data. And then if the answer was, like, we had rows, and then if we mark them as yes, then it was import the data into another sheet. If the answer was no, then don't import the data, and then create a new sheet with all the yeses, right? So, did a guess day or whatever, and then we'd have the data spit out. We'll go to ChatGPT and say, hey, can you create the equation for us? Because we don't really know how to do that. So went back and then so said, give us the equation. Does the first version. It's okay, try this. We tried the equation. Sorry, ChatGPT, not working. And then it comes back and says, all right, try this one then. Put the answer into the spreadsheet. Didn't work. Sorry, ChatGPT, didn't work. Okay, so what was the error that you got? Copy the error from Excel back into it, and like, oh, okay, cool. We think this is the equation, or we think this is the thing. And then put it back in, and then it worked, right? And each time now it's getting smarter. It's, oh, I'm sorry that I got it wrong for you.
Yeah.
But the point of the story is that it was through iteration, it was through communication saying, hey, you didn't get it quite right. And you didn't get it quite right generally is not the AI's fault, is because you haven't been specific enough to work within the infrastructure that was created by OpenAI to give it what it needs to be able to get you the answer. ChatGPT 3, ChatGPT 3.5. 3.5 is what everybody's been using, where ChatGPT 4. And the other thing, and that's, you've got a way that you'll be communicating with it. And now there's all the other companies, the Googles of the world, the Amazons that are creating their own tools. So we'll be using these different kind of platforms to then communicate with, and we'll find the ones which are best in the future. But yes, to answer your question, you've got to iterate, and you can do really cool things like change the tone, make it more casual,
right?
Make it more unique, make it sound like Joe Rogan,
right?
Put it in this voice. So there's that part of it. And the other thing that I really like to do, Shawn, is also to give it the audience that you're talking to.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm talking to short-term rental owners, or I'm talking to a lawyer, or I'm talking to my ex-girlfriend, right?
Yeah.
So and it'll give you different answers based on who you've told that the audience is.
Yeah, and it's awesome, and it's a really kind of a shared learning platform. With the more of us that use it, the more it learns, the better the answers become, and the more it's able to, the more capable it becomes, frankly, as well. So when and we were talking about ChatGPT, is that the main tool that you use? It's been the hot topic with OpenAI recently, but there's a lot of AI tools out there that I recently heard another podcast, and I had no clue. He's listing like 15 of them off that do different things. Are you specifically using ChatGPT, or are you using some of these other ones that are popping up?
So this is a really interesting one. You know, like at the start, we were talking about the fact that it was kind of November that OpenAI finally kind of, I don't know which month they actually released ChatGPT, but these tools have been around for years, years and years. In my opinion, most of the other ones are nice, they're fun, but they're not very useful.
Right.
You can get these tools to mimic your voice. You can get these tools to create artwork for you and to do all these bits and pieces. But in terms of your business, are you going to use them? Do you need to create somebody talking like you? No, you're going to get on, Shawn, and you're going to do a podcast and talk because that's what you do.
Right.
But where ChatGPT stands out is now you have to do a summary of our conversation and you need to write an email to everybody and say, hey, this is what the episode was about. Well, I'm going to use a tool which is actually useful. So that's where it cuts through, is that you'll hear about all sorts of podcasts, people talking about all these different things you can do. Okay, show me how that's useful is the question. Show me how that's actually useful to me. Oh, you can now do machine learning without having to code, or get involved in machine learning without having to. Okay, cool. I don't have time for that. I got my business to run. I've got cleaners to go. They have to go do cleaning. Like, how's that going to help me? Is synthesizing my voice? ChatGPT is helpful in two ways, and I just want to cover this off because I've been wanting to say it for a while. There's two aspects. One is operational effectiveness or efficiency. You're becoming more efficient with your time because you're getting stuff done quicker than what you normally do it. The other side of it is making more money and being a more effective communicator. And that's the key to this whole thing, is that it's communicating more effectively with your potential guest than what you might normally be able to do. You put your final voice, your final touches on there, but when you're responding to a review, like let's say it's a negative review,
right?
You have so much bias, Shawn, in everything that you write and everything that you do, because you've only got one angle to attack things from, and that's your life experience. When you ask ChatGPT to respond to the negative review, it's taking thousands and thousands and millions of data points. It doesn't have your bias, and it's going to give you an answer. Now, whether it's the accurate answer or not is a different thing altogether, but it's going to give you a more informed response. And generally, you'll find that it covers off ideas that you never thought of. It generally approaches things with a bit more logic and a bit more empathy of the other person, whilst you're sitting there going, why would someone leave me a negative review? That they're wrong. You know, the place was clean. We've got the best cleaners. That kind of thing. ChatGPT doesn't care, right? It's like, I got to respond to the negative review. So those two things to think about: the operational effectiveness and being a better communicator. That's what we're achieving with this kind of technology.
Yeah, I love it. And yeah, just the efficiencies and being able to accelerate, but also, like you said, effective communication is huge in our business, right? And what I just heard you say in that exact example is it's very difficult to remove emotions from some of our responses. And like you said, we're looking at it from our lens and our view of this world, where we can get a different view of a way to answer this with some of the emotion removed, and might give us a much better answer, a much more professional answer, and maybe also lead to quicker to a solution by removing some of that emotion that we might have, especially in that exact example on a negative review. So yeah, that's it's a fascinating world right now. And so Bart, if I was saying to you, okay, this sounds awesome, right? This is great. And I think that there's all these different applications. Where would you tell me to start, right? Because I could see this being something for me personally that would be a rabbit hole, right? I would start going down. I'd have all these different ideas. And that's exactly the opposite of what it should be, right? It should be, like you said, help us become more effective communicators, more efficient with our time, all those different things. So what are some tips for those of us that are thinking about, okay, I really want to do this. what should I layer on first? Where should I start? How would I learn about this and implementing this kind of technology into my short-term rental business?
Yeah. So I told you that so the November, December period is when I first encountered ChatGPT. And then I'm like, okay, so how do we actually start to use it within our businesses to make a bit of a difference? And I was meant to be having a break at Christmas time. I was meant to be, you know, family and all that kind of stuff. And all I could think about was ChatGPT. I was pulling out the laptop, showing my family, going, oh, have a look at this. And they're like, oh, we don't care. I'd be like, yeah, that's impressive. Showing my marketing friends as well. And they're going, well, wow, this is, oh, wow. Oh, wow. And then you just see them kind of progressively get more excited. So my challenge through that period was to say, well, how do I get this information out? Do I do a blog post? Do I do the accommodation show? That's my podcast. Mm-hmm. And just talk about it, or do I try to get practical with it? So we created a 5-day challenge. The idea with that challenge is to get people starting to use the tool to do some of the basics in their business with the bit. So then once you've got those basics, you can then figure out where you're going to put it in and how it suits what you're doing. So through the challenge, the first part is getting yourself set up, make sure that it's all working. I definitely recommend as a starting point to start with ChatGPT. Don't use the other tools just yet because people are still getting themselves their heads around it. There are other tools that are coming out on the market right now. So get yourself set up. Once you've got yourself set up, tackle the low-hanging fruit. Tackle the ones that are going to make you more money. More direct bookings. So improving your website. And one of the first things you do when you improve your website is you look at your description.
Right.
Am I communicating that effectively? Now, I would challenge people and say, when is the last time you went through and rewrote all your descriptions? Go on, Shawn.
Yeah. Well, I know the answer because I help people do this, but yeah, we do it on a regular basis because we know how important that is. But I know it's like, I mean, it's a set it and forget it. People go through it during that setup phase, they launch their property and they don't think about it again. Right.
Yeah.
And a lot of property managers don't either. Right. Usually if you're working with a property manager, they're writing it and it's on the shelf at that stage. It hasn't been changed in who knows how long for a lot of people.
And it's not a matter of you not wanting to do it, right? We all know that we want to do it. Yeah. We'll get back to it at some stage. But when is that moment? When is that inflection point of, hey, we need to do this particular part right now? And that inflection point, unfortunately, it always gets delayed and it generally never really comes. Right. Same thing with your website. Your website, you sit there and you're like, oh, I'll do it at some point. I'll redesign the landing page. And then 6 months goes by, another 6 months. And then you kind of do it because something's gone wrong or you're not getting your conversions. So that's the first thing, the title of your property and your descriptions. I'll give you a little bit of some hints around descriptions. What we generally tend to do when we write our descriptions, and sure you're gonna know all this, probably talked about it before, is we talk about our property and we go, oh, well, there's a bed and there's a kitchen and there's feature wall, which is really beautiful, and there's a pool and all this stuff. But we start talking about the features rather than the benefits.
Yeah.
Rather than going, well, the benefit of a pool is that you can cool down, you can jump in the morning, have a fresh swim and feel fantastic on your trip. But then you get one level deeper and then you start to write your description and you write it around your avatar. You know, when we're talking about avatar, this is the ideal customer. So now we know that people that are coming, they're coming with a pet, right? So let's say it's a pet-friendly accommodation. Now we're going to write a description based on someone coming with their pet and why this place is going to be perfect for them. Because we've got a doggy bed or whatever, and we've got some treats for the dog. And then in the morning, you're going to wake up and you're going to take a stroll on the beach with you and your partner and this pet. And then in the afternoon, you'll go out for coffees or whatever, right? So you're just going to create this journey in this story. And even me telling you this, you can see how poor I am at actually thinking on the fly of what to write. You go to ChatGPT and you say, hey, this is my property. Take your current description, put it in there and just say, can you please improve this, but write it in a way that would share of what an experience would be like staying in a metropolitan city for 3 days. Some of the best things to do is go to the theater, go to the great restaurants, and go to the casino and gamble, right?
Yep.
And then you start to write it out, and then it gives you this description. Now, I'm sorry that I just, there's one final point that I want to make. This is the first thing that you do. And when we did our challenge, we had people come back the next day and say, I got 3 bookings overnight based on the changes to the description. It was wild. It was wild.
It's awesome. I love you sharing that on the podcast. Those of you that are listening, this is something you literally could go do the minute you stop listening, right? You can go right there and do this. And you don't have to be Hemingway or Shakespeare to write these beautiful descriptions at this stage. All you have to do is understand who your target audience is, what the profit drivers are, why they're coming to the area, what experience they're going to come in, and then ask for help setting the scene and telling the story, right? Instead of listing, like Bart was saying, don't list all the features. Go set the scene with this beautiful story about what it's going to be like. So when they read that, they can place themselves in that, while they're reading the description, they're thinking, oh, this is exactly what this scene is going to be like when I'm there. And like I said, it can be done almost instantly, right? That's a great example of something you can go do right now without changing hardly anything else other than just saying, because most people listening, because we know this, because if I go on Airbnb or Vrbo, just like you guys, most people just list a whole bunch of things about the property, right? We have to remember, we're not selling properties. We're selling an experience. So we have to be able to articulate an experience. And so, yeah, and this is what a great tool to help us do that.
Yeah, I'm getting goosebumps. I swear to God, I was so excited about this particular podcast and recording with you because I know that you speak from the same angle and the same level that I do, and the same beliefs of how we can create those experiences. And the hotel folks have really had this a long time ago. They figured it out. Yeah. If you look at the airlines, they figured it out as well. Like, you don't see adverts of airplanes.
Nope.
You see adverts of the experiences that result from the trip.
Yes, absolutely.
Wouldn't you like to be on this magical island, right? They're talking about the island. They're not talking about the airplane. At the end, they'll have 3 seconds going, oh, use us as the airline and we'll create this experience for you. Yeah. Even though there's got nothing to do with what you do on the ground, right? You got to pray that what they've shown you is what you're going to get. One thing that I just want to talk about as well, just quickly with those descriptions, be careful, because we're saying one thing, but it's a bit counterintuitive. If you are pet friendly, you can also go down this rabbit hole of just talking about this pet-friendly accommodation. Think about your top-level avatars or the top-level ideal guests. So it could be families, it could be couples that are traveling. Choose 2, 3 of them. Don't go for 5 or 6. If you make a list of 10 ideal customers, find the top 3 that are most likely to visit, and start off by saying, this is the ideal place for a family, people traveling, couples, and a group of friends traveling, right? So those 3, start off with that, and then you use ChatGPT, and you can actually get it to talk to all 3 avatars at once, rather than just the boxing yourself in too much. Because of the way that our industry works, it can vary a little bit. Yeah. But the other thing is, don't go too broad and try to target everybody. Oh, anyone could stay here. Doesn't work like that at all.
Yep, totally agree. And the pet friendly side of it could be one of the features you're listing in your property. So it's when you start to spit out that description and set that scene, it's mentioned, but like you said, you don't want it to be the entire focus, because your focus should be the actual avatar target audience and what they're going to be doing there. Sure, their pets that they're traveling with are a part of that. But that's one of the features that you can turn into a benefit when you're talking about it, but it's not the only one, right? So you have to be kind of probably pretty careful about what you target as kind of the key points as you have this, as you spit out these descriptions.
Yeah, perfect. So so that's kind of where you're starting. Okay, so you've done your title, you've done your descriptions and things like that. Then you're going to jump into your website. And of course, we talked that, this tool is all about communicating more effectively, getting more done. And you need to go back through the website and have a look at everything. Have a look at all the different elements of your website. Go, play, try. Half the time, it's not going to have the right answer for you. It's not going to write the article the way that you want it to, but it's going to give you ideas and inspiration and get you working on it. Always come at it from the angle of your guest. And what is it that they need to know? What do they need to know to make a booking
Yeah.
You know, what is the experience going to be like? But it's all targeted towards bookings, not about not kind of random stuff, you know, about newsletters. They don't need all that kind of stuff. So you're going to go and you're going to start to look at your descriptions and then start to think about your search engine optimization. So what would somebody put into Google to find this particular property? So someone might Google, I'm a short-term rental accommodation ideal for a business traveler. Roughly, okay, that rough thing. You're trying to get into a long tail keyword. Long tail keywords are basically where you've got a bunch of words stuck together rather than a short tail, which is basically just one word like accommodation or hotel or short-term rental. You'll never rank for that, but you will rank for short-term rental for people traveling with pets, because it's not as competitive. And then you're gonna, in your description, you're gonna use a bit more of those words. You're going to ask ChatGPT for its assistance, saying, I'm really targeting this particular avatar or this demographic. And then you're going to restructure your website to give it more context.
And then that obviously, the reason for that, like you mentioned before, is to rank higher on the search engines, right? And so to your point, those of you that are listening that have not done this before, it's very, very difficult. Naturally, you say, I want to rank for vacation rentals, short-term rentals, hotels. Those are very, very competitive. You're not going to rank for those short words. So yeah, add that vacation rentals for a couple's getaway, something like that, you might rank for, because it's a longer, and then you layer that stuff on inside of the website in a lot of the wording, descriptions, you know, some of the, even in some of your pictures, on the descriptions on the pictures, a lot of different ways you can get this text inside of your website so that you can rank a little bit higher. So yeah, these are really, I love this, and these tips. I mean, I think I could sit here and talk to you for, I could probably take all of your day, all of my night, right? And
well, Sean, but that's what happened. That's and folks, if you're listening, this is what happened. Sean and I didn't know each other. We got talking, and our first conversation just went for ages and ages and ages. And we're like, oh, we've got to stop and actually record a podcast. So it's genuine that real understanding of what we're trying to do here and trying to change things. And this episode's all about trying to make a practical difference for people. And the one thing that I need to say to you, you need to at least understand it, start using it and learning about it. But if you have a team, if you have one employee or one part-timer, or if you've got 10 or 20, I would say it is the biggest opportunity for you to teach all of these people how to be 3 or 4 times more efficient in everything they do, because they've got a tool to now help them. So that's the other part. As a business owner, make sure you train your staff and your team on how to use it. Our team is all being trained. We spend a lot of time on it, and they're coming back to me now and say, hey, did you know that you can do this? I'm like, oh, wow, that's awesome. We can do this so much faster. So train yourself, train your team.
And everybody, yeah, and then you get these multiples of efficiency, and you get that exponential kind of results from it. And so, yeah, this is really fun. And I think, like we said, when we had our first conversation, we got to record this. Both of us are so passionate about seeing you that are listening, other people in this game that take it serious, treat it as professionals. It raises the bar in the industry that we love. And everybody can maximize their assets so much better and so much more by using some of these tools in place. And so it's frankly really fun. As I've started diving into it and really trying to look into it, it's a pretty fun thing to see how much more efficient you can get, but also how much better you can actually become. Like, it's like, whether you think you're creative or not creative, both sides of that coin can definitely benefit from this, because it's something, like you said, you can keep going back to it and say, hey, I don't like that. Make it funnier, make it more serious, shorten it, lengthen it, all these different things, when sometimes that's difficult for us to do. Sometimes you can't see the forest through the trees, right? We write it one way. How many times have we proofread something that we wrote and it's got all these mistakes in, because our mind just reads it how we wanted it to be written, how we thought we wrote it, right? And so, yeah, it's a really fun process. So Bart, I know that there's a lot of people that are thinking, okay, I'm kind of buying into this. I'm still would like more help, or where can we reach out and find out what you guys are doing, what resources you have available. We want to make sure that we point people in the right direction. And then not only so they can reach out to you, get some help with this stuff. Ultimately, if they want to dive deep, you guys have the coaching program, I'm sure, and all these different things. But where could we point people?
Yeah, so it's a very interesting question. So first thing you need to do is get onto the AI challenge. All the videos and the recordings, we've put into a small mini program that you can jump onto, which gives you access to me, my team, and also into that challenge. It's a few $100s. It's not expensive, and that will get you going with those fundamentals for a hospitality short-term rental business, and you'll get yourself going there. It's ibooked.online/AI. I'm sure the links will be in the notes. So that's the first step. The other way to engage is to join our Facebook group. We've got a Facebook group, which is awesome, with accommodation owners and managers. You can find that as well in the show notes. That's a great way. So there's two things you want to do. One is get yourself educated on that. And really, I think the difference is we're trying to teach people how to use it in the short-term rental business, how to get more direct bookings, that kind of stuff, rather than it just being generic. So not just something you'd watch on YouTube. It's like, okay, now what do I do? Okay, now, so when I'm doing SEO, what do I do? So we've got that. It's a short program, 5 days of the challenge. And then look, if you want to reach out to me, look, I'm super available. If you need Book Direct website, just, find me on LinkedIn, find me on Instagram. Bart Sobies is the name. If you just Google me, I'll come up and you'll find a way to reach out to me. I'm really happy to help you. And I think the main thing for me is I approach this so we're in a hospitality business. We're all about sharing experiences, creating experiences for people. And I'm cognizant of the same thing when I work with people. It's just saying, hey, whatever your needs are, I can figure out if I've got a good way to work with you, a good solution for you. So that's the best way to interact with me. But yeah, so it's ibooked.online/AI.
Awesome. Is this something that is a scheduled, or is it evergreen? Like we can go actually do it? I mean, personally, I'm going to dive in and do the challenge. This is going to be fun. I've seen a lot of trainings that are very generic on ChatGPT. Yeah. Great trainings, lots of different applications, but it's kind of all over the place. I love the idea that I can go somewhere and actually be very intentional of being able to apply this to my short-term rental business. And so I'm excited about it. Is it something I can dive into right away, or is it something that's scheduled?
Yeah. So we'd done the challenge and we had first launched it on Facebook. We thought we'd get 50 people that would turn up, and there was 350 people in the room at one time going, teach us about ChatGPT. Yeah. So that's the content which is part of this program. So you get access to all those recordings from those 5 days, and then you can kind of consume it as you like, whenever you like.
Love it.
And we will look, it's one of those ones where it's going to keep it evolving and changing. And once you pick this up, you're like, okay, cool, I'm on to the next much bigger sort of part of it. Once you've gone through those days, for example, a lead magnet, how do you write a lead magnet? What kind of a content do you want in there? So those are the things that we're covering.
Nice. Awesome. Well, this is exciting. We'll make sure that we put the ibooked.online/AI in the show notes, so you guys can just click the link, and then everywhere we can find you, we'll put a number of different links for Bart, so you guys can follow him on social, check out his podcast, listen to him on YouTube, go check all that stuff out. I know you're putting a ton of free content out there as well. So this is this is really, really fun, exciting. It's moving at a rapid pace. And so, it's fun to follow guys like you that are in this game on a regular basis, because things change, right? And so we'll make sure that I would suggest everybody starts following Bart, because we'll be talking about this for a while.
I'll be back in 6 months' time for talking a completely different language.
Hey, we'll schedule it for sure. I'm sure it'll be a little bit different, but we'll have learned a lot, evolved, and hopefully maximized along the way, right?
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, Bart, listen, I really, really appreciate you joining us. This has been an amazing conversation, and hope to have continued conversations with you. Those of you that are listening, we know how valuable your time is. I hope you got as much value out of this conversation as I did. And as always, we appreciate it. Thank you for joining us. And I always ask you one thing and make one challenge to you at the end of every episode. And that is to go pick one thing that you can do today to start living that life that you don't want to take a vacation from. Cheers, my friends.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Vacation Rental Revolution podcast. share this with other people you think need to hear about it. And don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review. Hey Grace, is there a website?
Yes! For more amazing content and expert advice, visit ibooked.online.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode.